it is widely believed that Sun Tzu was a Taoist scholar. This is also evident in the metaphors used in the art of war, often drawing lessons from nature, particularly water, which is said to harmonize itself without a central ruler. Sun Tzu believed that war is a continuation of politics by other means. Further, Sun Tzu recognized that war was both devastating and expensive, and that where necessary, it must be avoided. Hence, he admired warriors who won without fighting. This is the kernel of Taoism: harmony. However, given Sun Tzu's political and social context during the warring states period, he also recognized the need to survive during violent times. In light of this, he developed a comprehensive set of military methods, albeit based on the supreme Taoist aspiration of restoring peace and creating harmony. This brings us to the core ideas featured in the art of war. In appreciating the art of war's core ideas, one must first recognize that it was not written as a book in our sense of the word. As confirmed by archaeological evidence from 1972, it was written on bamboo strips. Given the spatial restrictions, ideas were formulated like tweets, each striving to capture a whole idea and then strung together in a thread to create some coherence. This is why the art of war reads in short bursts and uses metaphors that encourage reflection. The book was meant as a handbook, a manual, that one can turn to at the spur of the moment. Hence, it is unproductive to read from cover to cover. It was simply not written that way. The first chapter stands out as an index page of sorts, first warning the reader about the seriousness of war. Then, Sun Tzu provides the 5 constant factors that govern warfare. In most translations, the 5 factors are presented in their ancient nomenclature as follows: 1. The moral law. 2. Heaven. 3. Earth. The commander. 5. Method and discipline. Sun Tzu's Art of War is a deceptively small book. Yes, wars have been won, companies have been turned around, nations have risen and fallen, sports teams have made miracles owing to the tenets of the art of war. Above all, remember that Sun Tzu was a Taoist thinker, concerned mostly with preventing war and maintaining harmony. Unfortunately, this essential piece of information has since lost its place among readers of the art of war. The book is instead used as a take to make war instead of its original purpose. We present to you the best theses from Sun Tzu's Art of War. Which of these quotes are your favorites? Share them in the comments.
Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. You have to believe in yourself. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. Opportunities multiply as they are seized. Every battle is won before it is fought. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Victory comes from finding opportunities in problems. If you wait by the river long enough, the bodies of your enemies will float by. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. When you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. One mark of a great soldier is that he fights on his own terms or fights not at all. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. If he sends reinforcements everywhere, he will everywhere be weak. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. All is fair in love and war. Victory is reserved for those who are willing to pay its price. Know yourself and you will win all battles. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak. Engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirms their projections. It settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Plan for what is difficult while it is easy. Do what is great while it is small. Be extremely subtle, even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious, even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of the opponent's fate. The opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Even the finest sword plunged into salt water will eventually rust. Those who are victorious plan effectively and change decisively. They are like a great river that maintains its course but adjusts its flow. The nature of war is constant change. Move swift as the wind and closely formed as the wood. Attack like the fire and be still as the mountain. A battle avoided cannot be lost. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. He who wishes to fight must first count the cost. Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. If the mind is willing, the flesh could go on and on without many things. Great results can be achieved with small forces. First, learn to become invincible, then wait for your enemy's moment of vulnerability. The true objective of war is peace. Do not engage an enemy more powerful than you, and if it is unavoidable and you do have to engage, then make sure you engage it on your terms, not on your enemy's terms. When the enemy is relaxed, make them toil. When full, starve them. When settled, make them move. Ponder and deliberate before you make a move. So a military force has no constant formation. Water has no constant shape. The ability to gain victory by changing and adapting according to the opponent is called genius. If you fight with all your might, there is a chance of life, whereas death is certain if you cling to your corner. To win 100 victories in 100 battles is not the acme of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. When strong, avoid them. If of high morale, depress them. Seem humble to fill them with conceit. If at ease, exhaust them. If united, separate them. Attack their weaknesses. Emerge to their surprise. What the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. When one treats people with benevolence, justice, and righteousness, and reposes confidence in them, the army will be united in mind and all will be happy to serve their leaders. The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence, it is a subject of inquiry which can on no account be neglected. You cannot know if you will be successful or not. You can only prepare for battle, and it must be done with all of your heart and with all of your consciousness. In that manner, you will have an edge. What is of supreme importance in war is to attack the enemy's strategy. Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained. Fight not unless the position is critical. Humble words and increased preparations are signs that the enemy is about to advance. Violent language and driving forward as if to the attack are signs that he will retreat. Sweat more during peace, bleed less during war. The line between disorder and order lies in logistics. The clever combatant imposes his will on the enemy, but does not allow the enemy's will to be imposed on him. Rely not on the likelihood of the enemy's not coming, but on our own readiness to receive him. Until death itself comes, no calamity need be feared. He who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not will be victorious. Therefore, just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare there are no constant conditions. One may know how to conquer without being able to do it. If an enemy has alliances, the problem is grave and the enemy's position strong. If he has no alliances, the problem is minor and the enemy's position weak. What is essential in war is victory, not prolonged operations. Rapidity is the essence of war. Take advantage of the enemy's unreadiness, make your way by unexpected routes, and attack unguarded spots. These are the 6 ways of courting defeat. Neglect to estimate the enemy's strength, want of authority, defective training, unjustifiable anger, non-observance of discipline, failure to use picked men. Hold out baits to entice the enemy, feign disorder, and crush him. The wise warrior avoids the battle. So the principles of warfare are: do not depend on the enemy not coming, but depend on our readiness against him. Do not depend on the enemy not attacking, but depend on our position that cannot be attacked. Ultimate excellence lies not in winning every battle, but in defeating the enemy without ever fighting. Those whose upper and lower ranks have the same desire are victorious. There are routes not to be followed, armies not to be attacked, citadels not to be besieged, territory not to be fought over. Against those skilled in attack, an enemy does not know where to defend. Against the experts in defense, the enemy does not know where to attack. The skillful employer of men will employ the wise man, the brave man, the covetous man, and the stupid man. Rouse him and learn the principle of his activity or inactivity. Force him to reveal himself so as to find out his vulnerable spots. The quality of decision is like the well-timed swoop of a falcon, which enables it to strike and destroy its victim. In warfare, first lay plans which will ensure victory, and then lead your army to battle. If you will not begin with stratagem but rely on brute strength alone, victory will no longer be assured. There is no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare. So there are 5 ways of knowing who will win. Those who know when to fight and when not to fight are victorious. Those who discern when to use many or few troops are victorious. Those whose upper and lower ranks have the same desire are victorious. If, however, you are indulgent, but unable to make your authority felt, kind-hearted, but unable to enforce your commands, and incapable, moreover, of quelling disorder, then your soldiers must be likened to spoilt children. They are useless for any practical purpose. Making no mistakes is what establishes the certainty of victory, for it means conquering an enemy that is already defeated. In all fighting, the direct method may be used for joining battle, but indirect methods will be needed in order to secure victory. Too frequent rewards indicate that the general is at the end of his resources. Too frequent punishments that he is in acute distress. A kingdom that has once been destroyed can never come again into being, nor can the dead ever be brought back to life. Go into emptiness, strike voids, bypass what he defends, hit him where he does not expect you. Without harmony in the state, no military expedition can be undertaken. Without harmony in the army, no battle array can be formed. Know thyself, know thy enemy, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. If we do not wish to fight, we can prevent the enemy from engaging us, even though the lines of our encampment be merely traced out on the ground. All we need to do is to throw something odd and unaccountable in his way. O divine art of subtlety and secrecy! Through you, we learn to be invisible, through you inaudible, and hence we can hold the enemy's fate in our hands. Unless you know the mountains and the forests, the defiles and impasses, the lay of the marshes and swamps, you cannot maneuver with an armed force. Unless you use local guides, you cannot get the advantages of the land. It is a doctrine of war not to assume the enemy will not come, but rather to rely on one's readiness to meet him, not to presume that he will not attack, but rather to make oneself invincible. Carefully compare the opposing army with your own. so that you may know where strength is superabundant and where it is deficient. A sovereign of high character and intelligence must be able to know the right man, should place the responsibility on him, and expect results. If there is disturbance in the camp, the general's authority is weak. If the banners and flags are shifted about, sedition is afoot. If the officers are angry, it means that the men are weary. The rising of birds in their flight is the sign of an ambuscade. Startled beasts indicate that a sudden attack is coming. If I am able to determine the enemy's dispositions while at the same time I conceal my own, then I can concentrate and he must divide. Those skilled in attack move as from above the ninefold heavens. Thus they are capable both of protecting themselves and of gaining complete victory. Prohibit the taking of omens and do away with superstitious doubts. Then, until death itself comes, no calamity need be feared. Thus, though I have heard of successful military operations that were clumsy but swift, cleverness has never been seen associated with long delays. When orders are consistently trustworthy and observed, the relationship of a commander with his troops is satisfactory. Now a soldier's spirit is keenest in the morning. By noonday it has begun to flag, and in the evening his mind is only on returning to camp. This does not mean that the enemy is to be allowed to escape. The object is to make him believe that there is a road to safety, and thus prevent his fighting with the courage of despair. After that, you may crush him. Invincibility depends on oneself, the enemy's vulnerability on him. Order or disorder depends on organization, courage or cowardice on circumstances, strength or weakness on dispositions. Hence the saying, the enlightened ruler lays his plans well ahead, the good general cultivates his resources. When the soldiers stand leaning on their spears, they are faint from want of food. Peace proposals unaccompanied by a sworn covenant indicate a plot. Hostile armies may face each other for years, striving for the victory which is decided in a single day. This being so, to remain in ignorance of the enemy's condition, simply because one grudges the outlay of 100 ounces of silver in honors and emoluments, is the height of inhumanity. If our soldiers are not overburdened with money, it is not because they have a distaste for riches. If their lives are not unduly long, it is not because they are disinclined to longevity. If soldiers are punished before they have grown attached to you, they will not prove submissive, and unless submissive, they will be practically useless. If, when the soldiers have become attached to you, punishments are not enforced, they will still be useless. Factors in the art of warfare are first, calculations, second, quantities, third, logistics, fourth, the balance of power, and fifth, the possibility of victory is based on the balance of power. To see victory only when it is within the ken of the common herd is not the acme of excellence. The king is only fond of words and cannot translate them into deeds. Unless you enter the tiger's lair, you cannot get hold of the tiger's cubs. With regard to narrow passes, if you can occupy them first, let them be strongly garrisoned and await the advent of the enemy. In battle, there are not more than two methods of attack, the direct and the indirect. Yet these two in combination give rise to an endless series of maneuvers. If those who are sent to draw water begin by drinking themselves, the army is suffering from thirst. Where the army is, prices are high. When prices rise, the wealth of the people is exhausted. War is a matter of vital importance to the state. It is essential to seek out enemy agents who have come to conduct espionage against you and to bribe them to serve you. Give them instructions and care for them. Thus, double agents are recruited and used. When I have won a victory, I do not repeat my tactics, but respond to circumstances in an infinite variety of ways. Praise war in terms of the fundamental factors. The first of these factors is moral influence. Amid the turmoil and tumult of battle, there may be seeming disorder and yet no real disorder at all. Bestow rewards without respect to customary practice, publish orders without respect to precedent. Thus you may employ the entire army as you would one man. If the enemy has occupied them before you, do not follow him, but retreat and try to entice him away. Secret operations are essential in war. Upon them, the army relies to make its every move. The enlightened ruler is heedful, and the good general full of caution. Do not swallow bait offered by the enemy. Do not interfere with an army that is returning home. There are not more than 5 primary colors, yet in combination they produce more hues than can ever be seen. The dance of battle is always played to the same impatient rhythm. What begins in a surge of violent motion is always reduced to the perfectly still. Set the troops to their tasks without imparting your designs. Should the enemy strengthen his van, he will weaken his rear. Should he strengthen his rear, he will weaken his van. Should he strengthen his left, he will weaken his right. Should he strengthen his right, he will weaken his left. If he sends reinforcements everywhere, he will everywhere be weak. If we wish to fight, the enemy can be forced to an engagement even though he be sheltered behind a high rampart and a deep ditch. All we need do is attack some other place that he will be obliged to relieve. If the enemy opens the door, you must race in. In the midst of difficulties, we are always ready to seize an advantage. We may extricate ourselves from misfortune. For the wise man delights in establishing his merit, the brave man likes to show his courage in action. The covetous man is quick at seizing advantages, and the stupid man has no fear of death. Therefore, the victories of good warriors are not noted for cleverness or bravery. Their victories are not flukes, because they position themselves where they will surely win, prevailing over those who have already lost. Without subtle ingenuity of mind, one cannot make certain of the truth of their reports. Unhappy is the fate of one who tries to win his battles and succeed in his attacks without cultivating the spirit of enterprise, for the result is waste of time and general stagnation. Agitate him and ascertain the pattern of his movement. Of all those in the army close to the commander, none is more intimate than the secret agent. Of all rewards, none more liberal than those given to secret agents. Of all matters, none is more confidential than those relating to secret operations. The expert in battle seeks his victory from strategic advantage and does not demand it from his men. Generally in war, the best policy is to take a state intact. To ruin it is inferior to this. He who exercises no forethought but makes light of his opponents is sure to be captured by them. Rewards for good service should not be deferred a single day. Energy may be likened to the bending of a crossbow, decision to the releasing of a trigger. When you shoot a bow and arrow, you aim at the clouds, not because you expect to hit them, but so that you may reach the distant target on the ground. Without local guides, your enemy employs the land as a weapon against you. The value of time, that is, of being a little ahead of your opponent, often provides greater advantage than superior numbers or greater resources. To capture an enemy's army is better than to destroy it. Weigh the situation, then move. The business of a general is to kick away the ladder behind soldiers when they have climbed up a height. In war, practice dissimulation and you will succeed. In making tactical dispositions, the highest pitch you can attain is to conceal them. If this is long delayed, weapons are blunted and morale depressed. If fighting is sure to result in victory, then you must fight, even though the ruler forbids it. If fighting will not result in victory, then you must not fight even at the ruler's bidding. The opportunity to secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. When the common soldiers are too strong and their officers too weak, the result is insubordination. When the officers are too strong and the common soldiers too weak, the result is collapse. Begin by seizing something which your opponent holds dear. Then he will be amenable to your will. Those who excel in war first cultivate their own humanity and maintain their laws and institutions. By these means, they make their governments invincible. Apparent confusion is a product of good order, apparent cowardice of courage, apparent weakness of strength. An army may be likened to water, for just as flowing water avoids the heights and hastens to the lowlands, so an army avoids strength and strikes weakness. The art of giving orders is not to try to rectify the minor blunders and not be swayed by petty doubts. Attack is the secret of defense. Defense is the planning of an attack. The successful person has unusual skill at dealing with conflict and ensuring the best outcome for all. In all history, there is no instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare. Only one who knows the disastrous effects of a long war can realize the supreme importance of rapidity in bringing it to a close. Probe him and learn where his strength is abundant and where deficient. The control of a large force is the same principle as the control of a few men. It is merely a question of dividing up their numbers. In warfare, there are no constant conditions. He who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent will succeed and win. Ponder and deliberate before you make your move. He will conquer who has learned the artifice of deviation. Such is the art of maneuvering. When he pretends to flee, do not pursue. In a desperate position, you must fight. What enables the wise sovereign and the good general to strike and conquer and achieve things beyond the reach of ordinary men is foreknowledge. When torrential water tosses boulders, it is because of its momentum. When the strike of a hawk breaks the body of its prey, it is because of timing. If you follow the enemy's shifts and changes, you can always find a way to win. It is the business of a general to be serene and inscrutable, impartial and self-controlled. The peak efficiency of knowledge and strategy is to make conflict unnecessary. A warrior who is prepared to fight must also be prepared to die. Therefore, to estimate the enemy situation and to calculate distances and the degree of difficulty of the terrain so as to control victory are virtues of the superior general. Thus, the highest form of generalship is to balk the enemy's plans. The next best is to prevent the junction of the enemy's forces. The next in order is to attack the enemy's army in the field. And the worst policy of all is to besiege walled cities. When your opponent gives you an opening, be swift as a hare. Quickness is the essence of war. What is of the greatest importance in war is extraordinary speed. One cannot afford to neglect opportunity. The best general is the one who never fights. War is a matter of vital importance to the state, the province of life or death, the road to survival or ruin. It is mandatory that it be thoroughly studied. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. Be subtle, and use your spies for every kind of business. He who relies solely on warlike measures shall be exterminated. He who relies solely on peaceful measures shall perish. When the leader is morally weak and his discipline not strict, when his instructions and guidance are not enlightened, When there are no consistent rules, neighboring rulers will take advantage of this. The art of war teaches us to rely not on the likelihood of the enemy's not coming, but on our own readiness to receive him, not on the chance of his not attacking, but rather on the fact that we have made our position unassailable. Subtle and insubstantial, the expert leaves no trace. Divinely mysterious, he is inaudible. Thus he is master of his enemy's fate. The consummate leader cultivates the moral law and strictly adheres to method and discipline. Thus it is in his power to control success. In war, numbers alone confer no advantage. Do not advance relying on sheer military power. There is no place where espionage is not possible. Whoever is first in the field and awaits the coming of the enemy will be fresh for the fight. Whoever is second in the field and has to hasten to battle will arrive exhausted. One need not destroy one's enemy. One need only destroy his willingness to engage. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Thus it is that in war the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory. If a battle cannot be won, do not fight it. Invincibility lies in the defense, the possibility of victory in the attack. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. It is more important to outthink your enemy than to outfight him. It is the rule in war: if 10 times the enemy's strength, surround them; if 5 times, attack them; if double, be able to divide them; if equal, engage them; if fewer, be able to evade them; if weaker, be able to avoid them. All men can see these tactics whereby I conquer, but what none can see is the strategy out of which victory is evolved. All wars are won or lost before they are ever fought. When the thunderclap comes, there is no time to cover the ears. Be where your enemy is not. Don't flail against the world, use it. Flexibility is the operative principle in the art of war. The general who wins the battle makes many calculations in his temple before the battle is fought. The general who loses makes but few calculations beforehand. Wheels of justice grind slow but grind fine. Correct your mistake as soon as you have found it. If words of command are not clear and distinct, if orders are not thoroughly understood, the general is to blame. But if his orders are clear and the soldiers nevertheless disobey, then it is the fault of their officers. Pretend inferiority and encourage his arrogance. All warfare is based on deception. There is no place where espionage is not used. Offer the enemy bait to lure him. Kill one, terrify 1,000. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. However desperate the situation and circumstances, don't despair. When there is everything to fear, be unafraid. When surrounded by dangers, fear none of them. When without resources, depend on resourcefulness. When surprised, take the enemy by surprise. A leader leads by example, not by force. The whole secret lies in confusing the enemy so that he cannot fathom our real intent. If you are situated at a great distance from the enemy, and the strength of the two armies is equal, it is not easy to provoke a battle, and fighting will be to your disadvantage. The natural formation of the country is the soldier's best ally, but a power of estimating the adversary, of controlling the forces of victory, and of shrewdly calculating difficulties, dangers, and distances constitutes the test of a great general. Maneuvering with an army is advantageous, with an undisciplined multitude, most dangerous. Know the enemy, know yourself. Your victory will never be endangered. Know the ground, know the weather. Your victory will then be total.